Epstein. Let's speak now to Democratic Congressman from Virginia, Subramanyam. He serves on the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, it's great to see you again. I want to ask you about what we have heard from the Department of Justice here, saying it's made significant progress and that it's actually working with victims' counsel and victims themselves to ensure that redactions are done properly. What do you think of that?
Well, part of the law that we passed and that the president signed into law states that they need to explain the redactions to us. And they have not done that. They missed that deadline as well. So they haven't been doing that. They told us last March that they had all of the files ready to release, that they were on Pam Bondi's desk, the Attorney General. And they told us many times after that that they had the files, that they're ready to go. And now all of a sudden they're finding new files. They have too much, they don't have enough capacity to release files. It seems like their story has been changing many times over the past year and a half.
Have they given you any indication of when we might see the release of the remainder of those files?
I asked them last year, around the summer, in a letter, I asked them, what do you think are the Epstein files? How many files do you have? Have you done a search of it? Where are they located? I asked these basic questions and got no response. Then we subpoenaed them in August for the files. And we got one batch of documents that was 97% public. And then after that, we didn't get anything else. And so here we are again, another news story by the DOJ. It'd be very easy. In fact, really, I'm just looking for 4 or 5 things, which is the witness interviews that the FBI conducted, the 60-count indictment, and the 80-page memo explaining those indictments, the one that was put on hold when they gave Epstein the sweetheart deal. I mean, I can narrow it down for them if they really want, if they really cared about transparency in this entire saga.
So on transparency, do you think Bill and Hillary Clinton should be held in contempt of Congress for defying subpoenas to testify in front of your committee?
Well, let's be clear. They're being treated differently because they're Democrats. They're high-profile Democrats and political opponents of President Trump, right? So that's why we're talking about contempt here. I do want them. I supported the subpoena to have them come to our committee because I don't want this to be partisan at all. But we have not held anyone else in contempt. And so to single them out and hold them into contempt when they've actually been quite cooperative in the sense that they gave sworn declarations of everything they know. They've done other things. They're willing to talk to our committee under the right circumstances. I think we should be negotiating with them more to see how they would like to come in and how we can get them to testify, given that President Clinton is a former president of the United States and can, and just like President Trump, assert immunity, executive immunity. And so I think it's an interesting special case, but we haven't held anyone else in contempt. All the other people who have not cooperated, who've at times lied to us, right? And so we should be consistent, whether it's Democrat or Republican.
Just a quick follow-up on that. If there's nothing to hide, why shouldn't Bill and Hillary Clinton testify or give a deposition in front of this committee?
Well, I agree with that, which is why, again, I support them coming before a committee. I just want to know exactly why we're holding them in contempt and not all the other people who have not been cooperating with our committee, especially given all the other people really have a lot more information than the Clintons do.
While we have you, I also want to ask you about the ongoing ICE operations in Minneapolis. I know you've been very critical of it. You've joined Democrat calls for the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, to be impeached. The administration says it's clear that these are radical paid agitators who are attacking, federal agents. What do you say to concerns that these protests are spiraling out of control?
This is the perception that the administration wants to put out there. I remember when we were having town halls last year, they told us that those are paid agitators. And so we started asking people to raise their hands if they were paid. We started trying to look into that. That was not true either. And so this is a common line that this administration puts forward. The reality is people are upset and they're scared. They're scared because now we're seeing American citizens shot, right? We're seeing people who are peacefully protesting getting brutalized. And I think that the American people deserve to be safe in their communities. And so they don't want to see this new police force going around harassing them and shooting them. And so that's why they're upset. And this is not the only incident that Kristi Noem has done to deserve resigning or being impeached. I mean, again, all the corruption that, she's undertaken in her administration has been in and of itself worthy of leaving office or being impeached. So, but certainly this is, I think, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Okay, Congressman, great to speak to you as always. Thanks for joining us on our program today.
Thank you.